sort of communications working group, we met all Thanksgiving Monday for our meeting. And so we did a bunch of stuff, and so I'm going to do sort of a brief overview of some of the stuff that we were tasked with. And then there are sort of three bigger things that we sort of drafted that we'd like comments on. And so we'll take some comments on those, and then, again, they're just drafts, and so we'll send it back out to the working group once we sort of incorporate some of them. And so I'll take you through that. We'll take some general questions, and then we'll go into the drafted material. And so some of the stuff that we were tasked with is one, so traditional media. And so we've developed some key suggested messages, and again, everybody's free to bring their own message, vocalize whatever they want. But we did recommend that we have a few media spokespeople that have messages that they stick to a little bit more, that hopefully this group is fairly comfortable with. And so I'll share those in a little bit. We have initial sort of statement of unity of just sort of who Occupy Edmonton generally is, and a little bit about what we're about. And so we'll go through that in a second too. We would like media spokespeople for the day of. We think that that'd be good just to ensure that our group's message is sort of heard really clear, and then of course the media's free and open to talk to whoever they want and why individually different people are participating. But we'd like to have three sort of main people identified as media spokespeople for the day of. And so if you are interested in being a media spokesperson, we do want to do a media prep session with those people on Friday evening. And so if you're interested in that role, just come and see me after, and we can sort of help try and facilitate that. We have two media wranglers identified, myself and Anna, who's right there. And so basically on the day of, all we're going to do is we're going to help sort of facilitate media to make sure that they talk to our spokespeople and just sort of facilitate them going to people. We are going to draft a media advisory for the event, and then also sort of send out a media release. And so I have the media advisory drafted, and so I can show you that in a second too. So then some of our online stuff that we've done, just so that everybody's up to date. So we do have a Facebook page, so it's Occupy Edmonton is our main Facebook page, and then we also have an event page. So we have Occupy Edmonton event. So right now, Jono is the person who has administration of that, but what we're suggesting is that every working group nominate one person who also has the login information for that Facebook site. So
you don't need login information, just so you know, they're just made it.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, information. Same diff.
So we're just hoping that, one sort of working group, so somebody from the arts committee can post arts updates, all that type of stuff. Twitter, again, we do have a Twitter account, which is Occupy YEG, and we've identified who actually has access to that. And again, what we're hoping to do is give access to that to one person from each working group who will be able to send out Twitter updates from their working group. We're going to take comments at the end, if that's cool. We do have sort of two hashtags that we're currently using. For Twitter folks, it's non-Twitter folks, it's just a way to easily search sort of Twitter messages, and so that's Occupy YEG, which of course is the Edmonton International Airport, but it's the Twitter short form for Edmonton, or Occupy Edmonton. And then we decided not to sort of generate posting guidelines, but are really just sort of trusting people that have that account to remain accountable, to know that you're in some capacity representing the group and the responsibility that comes with that. We also have a YouTube channel. And so Benjamin's in charge of sort of the YouTube channel, and so our working group updates are loaded there. Also, individual sort of interviews will also be loaded there, and then also if other people want to update material, it can also be loaded to the YouTube site. Do you have the address?
Was it youtube.com/Occupy Edmonton?
So that's our YouTube stuff. We didn't want to film too much of this meeting, just to ensure good conversation. And then one of the things that we're putting to the Arts Committee too is that they make sort of don't want to be filmed buttons that people could wear on the day of, because we know some people have different issues or just not comfortable being filmed. And so as media wranglers, we're going to try and make sure that the media know that those people will be identified. So hopefully you won't be filmed, and that media will respect that. Of course, that's up to them, but we will.
That applies to our media. So the people, yeah, it doesn't apply to like,
Guarantee.
yeah.
Journal.
With regards to a website, we asked the question of, do we need a website to streamline sort of communication? And we felt yes, because a lot of people weren't on Facebook, and so a website would be better. So we're in the process of developing a website. The current bare bones of it is at occupyedmonton.org. And so we have sort of a bunch of different categories that we're hopefully going to fill with material in the next couple days, and then we'll be able to tell media about that site. You'll be able to post it around to different people, and so hopefully we'll facilitate a lot better communication, because it'll be your one-stop shop for stuff. Email lists, and so this is how we're going to sort of facilitate communication with each other. So we do have the occupy-edmonton@googlegroups.com, which we're hoping, we massive invited people last time. If you're not on that Google group list yet, we will circulate a sign-in sheet. Someone do that.
Yeah, I think we have that.
So we'll circulate a sign-in sheet, so if you're not signed up yet, we can invite you. Or you can send an email to occupy-edmonton plus subscribe@googlegroups.com, and it will automatically add you. So that list is an open list where we can sort of have discussion back and forth on that list, so anybody can post and receive messages. And then that's where a lot of updates will come as well. And then we're also encouraging working groups to start their own Google groups, and so we have one for the communications working group to ensure speedier communication. And then we'll also have a newsletter, so if there's really important information that needs to get to everybody, and it's just sort of information that's just coming out about, you know, this is where to be, we also have the ability just to send that out in a newsletter form. Banner and sign messaging. We didn't really sort of work through that at the messaging, and so we drafted some key messages, and once we get feedback on that, we'll probably develop some banner message stuff. And then internal communications, so we're also tasked with how we should communicate internally, and so our suggestions are just that working groups report back to the larger group where they solicit sort of feedback, develop more coherent plans, and then sort of post back. That all working groups post their minutes to the listserv so that everybody knows what happens at those meetings that they missed. That each working group establish a main contact person whose name, email, and phone number is given out, so it facilitates, if you ever have a question about communications, you have one person to contact. About arts, you have one person to contact, etc., etc. And then also one texting tool that we found very useful is just an application called GroupMe, which we're also encouraging, especially working groups, to use. But basically, it's the ability to text mass groups of people all at the same time, but you can see all the communication. And so if I was to text all of you, you would all see that I just texted. If Randy was to text everybody back, everybody would see Randy's text, so on and so on. So it's a great app to use about sort of changes in location or different changes, especially for working group stuff. And then just the final section, then we'll go sort of to open comments on this, and then we'll get back to the drafted materials, is we're also tasked with outreach. And so we have drafted an initial call-out email, which again is one of the materials that I'll go over really quickly. And then we sort of did a bit of a group list to outreach to, but definitely I think once we have the drafted email, then hopefully everybody can help with that outreach process. So yeah, that was our meeting. So maybe if we just take sort of 5 to 10 minutes of just general comments and some of that stuff, and then we'll go into the actual drafted material.